Like notes through the hourglass, these are the songs of our lives. Welcome to episode 2 of Songs of Our Lives. I'm Brad Rose from Foxy Digitalis. My guest today is a person who has become a friend and someone who is just, I don't know, because like I say this in the intro, but genuinely become one of my favorite people in the world. It's Nina Dante. And I talked to her on the Seltzer Salon a couple months ago about her project, The Snakes Into the River, which continues to be one of the most wonderful things on the internet. It's her Instagram, TikTok, YouTube channel that explores nature and witchy things and early music and medieval poems and literature and just so much good stuff. And it continues. Like, I mean, the amount that she does, like, I mean, it's almost daily videos. It really blows my mind. But where Nina first came onto my radar is she is a world-class soprano and a composer, and like, I mean, her music is mind-boggling. And she did this album with Bethany Younge a couple years ago on Talk Editions. It's called Lizard Tongue. It is 2-3 years on, however many, I can't remember when it came in. I think it was 2021, so it's probably been 2.5 years. I think about it at least every couple weeks because I've never heard anything like it. I'd never heard anything like it when I heard it. I've never heard anything like it since. And it's an album that it kind of reshaped my brain on thinking about, where possibilities could go, especially with voice. And it's not something I've explored in my own music because frankly, I don't have the guts, I don't think. But yeah, so I was that in the Seltzer Salon conversation. Nina seemed like a great guest for this because I want to know more about how Nina Dante became Nina Dante. And so that's what this is. So we recorded this on Zoom and we had way too much fun. And so I hope you enjoy it. So my guest today is a vocalist and a composer, a harpist, and has one of the coolest channels on the internet called The Snakes Into the River, and is genuinely one of my favorite people. Everybody welcome Nina Dante.
Thanks so much for having me, Brad. I'm really excited.
Oh, I can't wait. This is going to be so much fun. Before we get into it, though, so I think I may have mentioned this when we were on the Seltzer one. Like, the album you did with Bethany Younge was sort of the first. That was when you really came onto my radar as like your stuff, and we didn't really talk about it on that show because we talked about Snakes Into the River. And I've always wondered, like, how did that? What were the what was the process, or like the sessions, writing sessions, recording sessions for that? Like, because that album sounds like nothing I've ever heard.
Oh my gosh, it was probably the most fun I've ever had working on creating music with another person. It was so amazing. So we were both interested in making an album that just used our voices and also entities from the natural world. So sticks, rocks, leaves, just, anything that we've kind of collected in our wanders through the world. So the kind of pre-recording rehearsal sessions just involved us like throwing everything we had into a pile on the floor and just sitting on the floor and playing around with different sounds, using our voices in different ways. And then we sort of made an outline of some different chapters of sound that we wanted to explore. But really, most of the composition actually happened in the recording studio. We were working at the Columbia University studio, so we'd just sit in there in the dark for
Oh my
hours,
gosh.
playing around, and it was truly amazing. And at the time, this was pre-COVID, so I had no idea really how to use um, microphones and
Mm,
Logic and recording
right.
technology and stuff. So I learned so much from Bethany. She really taught me how to use these things, and I'm so grateful to her. She's such an amazing
That's
person. So
that's
yeah,
awesome.
it was so much fun.
Yeah. It well, I think it comes through because I don't know. I put that record on every so often, and it's just this other world. It's wild in the best way. Are you guys ever going to do another one?
I'm not sure. I hope so. That would be
Yeah.
so much fun. It would be interesting to see what a follow-up to that
Right.
experience would be, and especially because so much has happened in the years since we recorded that. A lot has changed. We both have left the city. She got a great job, and I'm out in the Pacific Northwest now. So our environments are really different, and I'm sure that what we're both doing has, moved
Right.
in different unexpected directions. So it would be really amazing to see what
Yeah.
happens.
Well, I'll keep my fingers crossed, and just
Me too.
I'll keep bringing it up to anybody who listens. Like, be like, hey, somebody should commission this. So, um, well, and
Thanks, Brad.
hey, I'm doing what I can. um, we have to talk about Snakes into the River for a second too. So we're kind of getting into, well, it doesn't feel anything like fall here yet, but it's coming. And I know you do. Like, one of the things I really like about it is how it's like their seasonal shifts are reflected in the episode. So I'm curious, like, what your, I mean, it's probably, I don't know. Is it feeling more like fall there, or is it
It
still?
is. It just started this week. There's like that dry pull in the air, and it's
Mm,
cool, and it's
so
very
jealous.
windy.
Uh,
I wish I could send it to you. It's glorious. So hopefully it holds up because
yeah.
we need the rain over here, as does nearly
Yes.
everywhere right now.
Well, right. Yeah. Well, like, what are you looking forward to for fall for the channel for just, what's coming up?
Well, I love curating the Snakes Head to the River for fall because, of course, that's Halloween time and spooky
Yes.
season and the autumn equinox and all these delicious things. So, one thing that I'm planning is I'm going to release a like music compilation on YouTube
Oh,
sometime around the autumn equinox, just for people to play during this spooky
oh, that
autumn
is
season. So something you can just press play and
yeah.
hang out and have on. Um, so that'll be a lot of my original compositions actually that I wrote last year during the fall season.
Nice.
The Dance of the Black Cat, the
Oh,
meeting of Guinevere and the ghost, yummy stuff like that.
that's wonderful.
Um, I'm also planning to arrange some old spooky folk songs that I haven't done before. So I'm really excited about that. And hopefully some fall foraging, and maybe some little baking projects and
Yeah.
crafts and things like that. So still
Awesome.
planning
Well,
it out, but I'm excited.
I can't wait for that mix. Have you always been in, like, has Halloween always been a big thing for you in like
Yes,
this
I
kind of
love
spooky
Halloween.
season? Okay. Yeah.
I love Halloween. I love Valentine's Day. I love the whole Yule season. I'm huge on holidays and I add as many as I can in every year.
Mm-hmm.
They're just, why not? They're
Yeah.
fun. You get to do special things.
Do you have any favorite costumes from when you were a kid?
Oh my gosh. Well, so many. My mom used to make our costumes
Oh
when we
man.
were little. Amazing. And one year, the opera The Magic Flute by Mozart.
Mhm.
I was really obsessed with this when I was really little because my grandmother gave me a kid's tape of the story of the Magic Flute. And I fell in love with the Queen of the Night. I was just like,
Oh,
this lady, she's so evil and fabulous. And, she sings this wild aria. And I was just out of my mind for this character. So my mom sewed me a Queen of the Night costume.
that's amazing.
It was amazing. I live for that
That is so good.
memory of
Oh my
putting it on
gosh.
and being like, I am die Königin der Nacht now.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh, I love that. That's so good. How old were you think?
I was probably 4,
Oh my
5.
gosh, that's even
I
better.
was really little because I'm like remembering my little sister was a baby at the time. So yeah,
Oh my
I was
gosh.
is something like that.
I think my favorite one that my kid has had, I think she may have been 4 or 3. She kept saying, we kept asking what she wanted to be. And she just kept saying for months, she's like, I want to be a birthday cake. I want to be a birthday
That's
cake.
right.
And so we made her a birthday cake costume. And it's still my favorite. Like
It is
the,
a chance to embody what you love.
I know. And
The
who
girl
doesn't love a
loves
birthday
birthday
cake?
cake.
Hey, I don't, I think she gets that from me. We were talking the other day how much we love birthday cake. Um,
It's delicious.
it
Wow,
is.
good for her.
Yeah. So, well, that's a good way to sort of segue into this. Like, what is the first song that you remember?
Oh, wow. Okay, so it is a lullaby called Linda Manita. And I know it, I'm half Dominican. And when I was a baby, my grandmother, my abuela, would sing this song to me.
It's,
And there's like a little motion that you make with your hand. You hold your hand up and you just turn it from side to side. So kind of it's like a teaching
mm-hmm.
song, I guess, teaching motor skills. But the only thing that I remember is the first line, which is Linda manita que tengo yo. That's all I remember. But I can hear her voice. My abuela has a really distinctive voice. I cannot imitate it. I would give anything to be able to imitate her voice. It's so cool and interesting. It's like brass when
Oh,
she speaks,
wow.
like a super metallic
That's so
voice. I
interesting.
love the sound of her voice. So I can just hear her in my mind.
That's fantastic. This was one that I was not familiar with at all. So when I listened to it, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is just so sweet and lovely. So that makes totally makes sense.
Yeah,
I
just a
love
little
those kind of
lullaby. Or,
yeah, I love those kind of memories. Those are my grandma used to. She was German, so she used to sing German lullabies. So I don't really remember any of them, but
oh, no
I just have like
kidding.
these vague memories of her singing in German. I don't remember the
Well,
songs or everything, but
if you ever can recall any to mind, you'll have to let me know so that I can add them to my list of songs I want to sing.
oh,
I'm
perfect.
always looking for new lullabies. I love
Yeah.
lullabies.
Oh, I love lullabies too. I always kind of feel like I look for that feeling in like contemporary music, or if I hear something like experimental music that has that feeling, it's like, okay, I'm here for this.
Yes.
Um, well, on a different tangent here, what is the song that makes you cry?
Oh, a lot. This one was hard because there are quite a few, but the one that really came to the top of my mind is Orphan Girl
Yeah.
by Gillian Welch. There was an episode in my life when I was living in New York where I was just really down, like not feeling good.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just go on a walk and listen to this song and just allow myself to feel bad
Yeah. Yeah.
for myself. Um, but it's such a beautiful song. Like, first of all, you have her voice, which already is like interlaced with a plaintiveness that's in
Mm-hmm.
all of her songs. There's a heaviness in her energy that's really interesting and unique to her. But then the song is just so sad. It's
Oh, I
about
know.
an orphan girl. I have no mother, no father, no sister, no brother. And she's just looking forward to the day that she'll be reunited with them in a hypothetical heavenly
Right.
situation. Um, oh, it just breaks my
I
heart.
oh, it's devastating song.
Yeah.
I remember reading it and I found it. I went and found it again. Like how she talked about how she didn't real even think about its autobiographical aspects until somebody said something because she's adopted, and so and
Oh,
she had this really great quote. It was something along the lines of you when you have a dream, you don't realize what it's about until you tell someone the next day, and how with
oh
this
no.
I know, and I was just like, oh my gosh,
Oh,
yeah,
knife in the heart.
I
Oh,
know. And that song is, I hadn't thought about it in a while. When I saw them, I was like, I had to like prepare myself to listen because it's so
no,
heavy.
you can't just jump into that song. It'll break your heart. Oh,
Yeah.
it has that like, you know, I feel like it makes me think of Charles Dickens because he
Mm,
wrote so beautifully about the plight of the orphan, the homeless, the destitute. And so I always kind of think about him when I hear that song
yeah,
too.
yeah, that it definitely embodies that spirit in a. It's
Yeah.
and it's and her voice is just it's
Oh
like
my gosh.
one of the great voices.
I know. It's so spare,
Yeah,
you know. Her voice is like just a skeleton. I love that so much.
I know, and in this song too, like everything feel like the whole like the arrangement of it, it just all feels very
Yeah.
sparse, and it just the music, the like chord progressions, it all embodies that feeling, and it I think it just adds to the intensity of it, really. But
It does.
it gives her that space to really. I mean, she it's her voice that just
Yeah, you barely need the music,
yeah,
instruments behind her.
yeah. Well, on the opposite side of that coin, what's a song that always puts you in a better mood?
Oh, okay. This is an old French song um by Guillaume de Machaut, and it's called Douce Dame Jolie, which means sweet, beautiful lady. And I just love it so much because he's just like begging this lady to take him on. He's like
Mm-hmm.
so in love with her. And he's just like, oh God, please, you cannot think that anyone else in the world can take the space of you in my life. And he just goes on and on. And it just has this like beautiful kind of, what's the word? This forward moving melody. It's very like, I don't even know how to describe it, but it just makes me happy. I like want to go do a crazy demon dance or something when I hear it. It's
Yeah,
great.
I always feel like it has this kind of trance-inducing quality to it when I was listening to it. It
Yes.
reminded
Yeah.
me, and there's some like kind of buzzy instrument. I don't know what it is, but I find it so pleasing, and it kind of reminded me of. So there's this box set that I don't know came out in the '90s, and it's the Music of Islam. It's like
Hmm.
15 CDs, and it's from all over the world. But there's one of the CDs is from Turkey, and it's like music of whirling dervishes. And for some
Oh,
reason, this kind of because I think there's also like there's like this medieval undercurrent on this song too. So like this ancient feeling, and that was I think what reminded me of the music. I don't know. It's like a really weird connection that my brain instantly went to because again, this was a song I wasn't familiar with, and so I put it on. It was like ooh, and so then I spent like an hour going after I listened to this. I was like, oh, I gotta go listen to that CD now. But um,
that is a beautiful CD. I think I sent you the recording by Hoglaresa.
I th-
Um,
I think
I
so.
love that album. That's one that I've listened to many, many times over the past year. It's super beautiful. But I agree with you about that idea about the sort of trance-like quality of the music. And I
Mm-hmm.
find that a lot with the music of that era. Like there aren't very many different chords. So it kind of allows you to like
That make
float in
yeah
this space. And this
yeah.
one especially, it because it's mostly I think it's in Dorian. It just has three chords, but mostly it's just cycling through two chords.
Mm-hmm.
So it just lets you get into this like dancey, trancy space that I really enjoy.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I again, like I never heard it. I was like, oh, wait, I need more of this
So
in my life.
delicious.
Um, yeah, it's fantastic, and um, I want to. I don't know. I just yeah, I need more of that music in my life. Um, okay, so now remember, this is objectively. What is objectively? And I say that with
Oh,
tongue in cheek. Because
yeah, no, I feel you.
if anybody knows anything about Foxy Digitalis, I don't believe in objectiveness when it comes to music and art, really. But
No, gotta live
what
your life.
what is objectively the best song
Oh,
of all time?
Brad, you killed me with this question. I literally cannot answer it. But I have to say, one of the best songs, objectively, of all time has to be Creep of Radiohead.
Oh wow, that is not what I thought this was going to be the answer for. Okay,
It is a perfect song. It's a perfect song. I don't know what to say. It just is. I remember when I first heard it. This was
Uh-huh.
when in high school in Florida in the car after getting a haircut with my awesome hairstylist I had at the time. She was so great. And Creep came on the radio and I lost my mind. And even
Oh
at
my
the time, I was
gosh.
like, this is a perfect song. And it remains a perfect song. And every time I hear it, I just want to fall on the floor.
I remember the first time I heard it, and like the main memory I have is the like Johnny Greenwood guitar, like it was
Yes.
just like what the hell just happened? And
Yeah, I know. It just underscores the total misery, almost beatific misery of the song. It's
yeah,
amazing.
are you still a Radiohead fan? Or
Oh, I really
uh,
like Radiohead. Yeah, I
okay,
really love their music. I think it's so good. And I love Tom York's voice. I think it's beautiful and they're great performers. I've never seen
yeah,
them live, but I've watched videos and
I saw them.
um
I saw them at the Gorge in Washington in
oh
like
my gosh.
2001. It was the Kid A and Amnesiac tour, and it was, oh my gosh, it was unbelievable. It's the only time I'd ever been to that venue, which is I like I usually don't like really big shows. I get a lot of
Yeah.
anxiety around it, but at that time though, I
Yeah.
mean, I was like 20, so it was like, oh, who cares?
You were fine.
Yeah, like if I went now, I would probably have a panic attack. But
Yeah,
um,
I'm not really into big menus either. They make me nervous.
yeah, it's just it's so overwhelming. But
Yeah.
I am glad that I got to see that. And yeah, they're a band that I admire because like they don't just rest on like what they do well. I mean, what they do well is
No.
so many things, but like their last album was one of my favorite albums, the Moon Shaped Pool album. I thought was so good.
Oh, that
And
was beautiful.
yeah,
So beautiful.
and unexpected. Like I would have never guessed that that was a record they would make. And then, but then once you hear it, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
of course they made that record.
That album, it is emblematic of an era of my life. It had recently come out and I was living in New York and had just sort of like my life situation had sort of changed. I had just gone through a breakup, but I was feeling really good and I would just put it on and walk
Mm, yeah,
for hours. And so that album like reminds me of certain streets in the city and just a mood of
right.
that time.
That's really funny. I
Yeah.
have a very similar relationship to Kid A because it was when it came
Oh
out, I
no.
was going through like some big changes, and I have memories of like late at night, I would just put it on my headphones and go, like at midnight, and just go walk through the neighborhood around the apartment that I lived. And
Ah,
yeah, so
a mood. It's such a mood.
yeah,
That mood.
yes, I I
It's
can't
like
really
a
explain
little
it, but
dangerous.
it is,
Yeah.
yeah,
We
it
all know it. We
right.
all know the mood.
It's a little bit on the edge, and it's
Yeah.
also just, and there's just something, especially when you're out. I mean, it's probably different in like New York because New York's busy, like there's always stuff going on. But
Yeah.
here, like you would go walk through these neighborhoods at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning, and it's just dead. And
Oh my goodness.
it was like equal parts spooky, but also really peaceful. And that the intersection of those two things is just perfect.
Plus Kid A in your
Yeah,
ears.
right. Exactly. It was, yeah.
Wild.
It was a mood. That is a good way to put it.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
well, if that's the greatest song of all time, what is the song that you used to love but now you find it a bit cringeworthy?
Well, again, it's like I guess it's cringeworthy. I suppose I should feel that it's more cringeworthy than it is, but it's this song Eternal Flame by the Bangles.
I think that's a
It's
great
just
song.
song. I still love it. I love it. And I'm like, I listen to it and I'm like, I know that this should be cringeworthy.
Yeah.
And I suppose in part it is, but also I
Also,
can't
it's,
help myself.
oh, I think yeah, again, I wouldn't have guessed that was going to be the pick for this category because I think it's I was listening to it this morning after I dropped my kid off at school. I was like, oh, I need to like I made a playlist of some of these songs so I could just be in the have some things to say, even though I have like 2 pages of notes. But um,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, I mean they're small pages, so it's
But still, that's
um,
a page.
and I think I when I was very I think I had like a huge crush on Susanna Hoffs before I even really knew what that meant. I think I just it was so I don't know. I love this song. I see what you mean. Like it should be cringeworthy, but it's not.
It's just not. You know, I love just the pure, unclouded drama of the
Yeah.
song. Is this burning an eternal flame? Is
Oh, I know.
it?
It's
Is
so
it?
I know it's so melodramatic, but in this,
Close your eyes. Give me your hand, darling. Who writes these things now? I want to hear it.
I right. That's the thing. We talked last time on the Seltzer Salon about earnestness. Like it's so
Yes,
earnest, and
I
and it's like
know.
it's maybe a little. I also believe it's like you can't be earnest all the time, and maybe there are lines like as if you're just 24/7 earnest that would get annoying, but like
It's,
this
there
one
are other
there are
ways of
points of
being.
there are points of this song that maybe it's like you maybe get really close to the line of being able to but I love it. I can't help it.
It's so good. It
Yeah.
scratches an itch.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
So, yeah. And of course, like beautiful voice, beautiful arrangement. The bass in there
Yeah.
is it always catches me by surprise because
Yeah.
it sounds like an acoustic bass, like just,
Yeah,
upright
it's
bass.
really interesting. Yeah. And it adds like such an unexpected timbre to the rest of
Yes.
the the rest of the arrangement. I totally
Yeah,
agree.
that like more shimmery
Mhm.
sound and the rest of it. It's interesting.
And
It's beautiful. It's dramatic.
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I'll accept it as an answer, but I don't think it's great.
I mean, I don't really either, but I was trying to think about this and like honestly, part of the problem with me is that I try to be really careful to never um like talk shit about what past versions of myself was
Totally.
really into or
Yeah.
like what really was doing it for me at a certain time because that's me. That's who I
Right.
was.
Absolutely.
That was what I needed and who am I to make past versions of myself feel bad
Yeah.
for living her life
Right.
and you
Well,
know
it's why I don't really believe in the idea of guilty pleasures either. It's like if you like it, like it.
yeah, I
Like
know
it's
that's just what you are.
it's like one of the things that Sam and I talk about a lot on our Rancid podcast is this idea of radical acceptance of just like if you
Mm,
like it, just own it. Like it's
yes.
I mean, and also don't blindly love things. Like there are things that I like from when I was younger that are in hindsight, there are problems with them and like be
Hmm.
open and upfront about that and think about those things and talk about the things, but it doesn't mean you can't like this song. Like it has a visceral
Yes.
memory for you. And so I yeah.
Well, and I think too with like large scale radical self acceptance, I think such an important part of that is like being able to be really clear eyed about things that are not good for you versus
Yes.
things that you feel like are an indulgence or that you shouldn't or that it's wrong or
Mm-hmm.
it's not like this or that enough or whatever. Like if you can be clear about what really isn't bad, what really is literally bad for you in
Right.
your life and
Yeah.
work on moving away from those things, then I think it just leaves more space to enjoy what matters to you
Ex-
and what makes you happy and, you know,
I could not agree
birthday
more.
cake.
Yes, birthday cake. Have that
Birthday
birthday
cake.
cake.
Yeah.
Well, on the flip side, what is the song that people don't like? It's maybe critically it's panned, whatever, but you love it. You absolutely love it.
Okay, so this one I couldn't answer because I actually don't. I was trying to think of it, but I don't have context.
So
I feel like I've never had like pushback.
I I totally get that, and I think I'm going to add a note on this one. It's like you can create your own context because for me, because I was having, and you'll find out whenever we record this in reverse. I had to pick like, okay, there's this specific thing of like it's basically there is a song that in my house I can't listen to it because everybody else hates it, and
Oh no.
I like, and I love it and think it's wonderful. And it's mostly my daughter. She'll be like, "You turn that off," and
No.
so that's so that's like not everybody hates it because I don't either, and I don't know either. I'm even though I have like a music website and I write reviews and do all those things, I have no idea what people love and hate. Like,
Yeah. I know it's hard to get a like idea of that. I don't know why, because people are expressing opinions like all day long, every day.
yeah. So
But yeah, I just couldn't find my context.
that's fair enough. It's a hard one. So, and you make
I'm
up for it
sorry.
by no, you made up for it by picking three from the optional section. So, which nobody who's listening to this knows what I'm talking about, but that's fine. Uh, okay, well, moving on to better things. What is the most romantic song?
Oh, okay. Nina Simone,
Mm-hmm.
Wild is the Wind.
Yeah.
That is like the embodiment of dangerous romance. The lyrics, the tune, her voice,
Oh my God, her
like a
voice.
fire in the night. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah.
You touch me, I hear the sound of mandolins.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It is.
I can barely bear it.
I
It's
know.
one that like sometimes I'll put on and just lay down on the floor and like let gravity crush me because
Yeah.
it's so intense.
It's
Beautiful.
and it's one of those songs. It's like obviously like Nina Simone is Nina Simone and one of the greatest
Yeah.
singers ever. But like this song, especially, like I feel like you feel her voice in a way
Oh,
that you don't all the time. And oh god,
yeah.
and I really love the piano in
Well,
this song too. Like I feel like
oh, her playing is
oh, I
miraculous.
know. It's like how are you doing that?
I don't know. And singing
I
and the
know.
way that she arranged the band behind her, like all these kind of wind gusts of
Yeah.
sounds, it really gets you in that space.
Yeah, you just get
Um,
totally lost in the moment of it. I mean,
oh yeah.
it sweeps you away. I mean, talk about a song like sweeping you off your feet. There you go.
Yeah. Yes. Well, and really she created it in a way that it provokes that feeling of passion in you. You can't escape unscathed from the song, or at least I can't. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that no,
So good.
that's a really good pick. Um,
Oh,
love that song. Well, what is a song that changed your perspective on an artist?
okay, so I saw that and I was like, I am so ready for this question.
Okay.
Okay, the song is Dancing in the Dark, Bruce Springsteen. So what happened was this. Like several years ago, it was like sometime during lockdown. I teach voice and piano, and I was in one of my students' lessons, and she was like, "Oh, you know what I want to learn? I want to learn Dancing in the Dark by Bruce Springsteen." And I was like, "Bruce Springsteen? What?" And I just hadn't really ever
Yeah.
done listening or like thought about it. Like I just had this vague idea in my mind that Bruce Springsteen wasn't for me.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I was like, okay, I'm going to listen to the song because I don't know it. And I pulled it up on YouTube and it was a live
Mm.
recording of a performance. And I lost my mind. Like I immediately fell in love with this guy. And then I listened to everything of his
Mm-hmm.
basically and became very obsessed. The obsession persists.
Yeah.
And I just can't stop listening to him. I think he's a true bard, a, an amazing songwriter, storyteller. The music is
Oh, yeah.
awesome.
I know.
He's the boss, you know.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
not going to fight it. I'm not going to fight this.
I, I love Bruce Springsteen.
You do.
Oh my God, I love Bruce Springsteen.
I love him. I love him.
I think it was about, and I had a similar experience, and it was, I don't know, it was maybe, what year is it, 2023, like 12, 13 years ago. And I heard, which song was it? God, I can't even remember what song it was now, but I heard something. I was like, wait,
Oh,
what? No,
you're gonna have to remember
it
that
was
song.
I remember it now. It's a live recording of Thunder Road, but it's just him on the piano and
Oh my
singing.
gosh.
And it is,
Yum.
yeah. And it just kind of stopped me in my track. And I did the same thing. I was like, I got to listen to everything. And then, and the thing one of the things I love about Bruce Springsteen is he's like in his 70s and he's still like, even his, I don't, he's still good. Like he's still
His
doing
music
it.
is amazing.
Yeah.
I know, actually the first album that I listened to after I heard Dancing in the Dark was his current album at the time, Letters to You, I think, or Letters from You.
Mm-hmm.
Great
Yeah.
album.
Yeah.
Awesome. I loved it. There were a few tracks on there that I'll just like pick out and listen to when I need them, you know.
Yeah. Oh. So,
Um
so do you have a favorite Springsteen song? Like if you had to pick one?
oh gosh. Well, I think the one that like really puts a knife in my heart is The River.
That's a good one.
There are so many of his songs, like there are so many that like I don't want to live without, you know. But of all of them, I feel like that really displays a lot of what's so special about him,
Mm-hmm.
kind of cutting to the heart of things and also just like amazing music that makes you want to like move, you
Yeah.
get up and move and be part of it. But it's a really sad song just about, like the sort of everyday tragedies that happen
Mm-hmm.
if to people in tough circumstances. And at the
Oh,
end he like
yeah.
turns the line of the chorus. uh there the chorus, there's the main line is I went down to the river, and
Mm-hmm.
the idea was that he'd be down at the river with and swimming around. And but the last he turns it around in the last chorus and he's like, I went down to the river though I know the river is dry.
Oh, so good. Yeah, he's incredible. Mine's Incident on 57th Street. It's like I can't live without that song.
Oh wait, you know what, I can't recall that one.
Oh, it's the one about Puerto Rican
What's
Jane.
that one?
So it's like
Oh yeah, no,
Puerto.
I can't recall that one.
Oh my gosh, Spanish Johnny. It's like this whole. You have to listen
Oh,
to
now I'm
it.
gonna listen to it as soon as
Oh
we
my
are
gosh,
done with
I
this.
love that. I mean, there's so many. I love the boss, and I've so my dad as a grandfather. So my dad's name is George, and so I have a niece who she's 21, so her and my daughter are 11 years apart in age. But whenever my sister was pregnant, and you go through the thing of like, what are the grandparents going to be called? And so
Oh yeah.
my dad was like, hey, I'm going to be old George. You got to call me old George.
Oh,
Oh no,
George.
yeah, and everyone, we were all like, no, no. He's like, no, that's what it is. And and
Absurd.
so and the best thing is, so my when my niece was little, like she couldn't say it, so she called him Dooge. But yeah,
This is
but,
so great.
but like I've told my daughter, I was like, well, if you ever have kids, I was like, I'm gonna be old boss. So that's gonna be my
Yeah. Oh my
my
gosh. Wow,
homage to Bruce
I think
Springsteen.
I may have met someone with an equal obsession
Yeah,
today.
I'm so excited that you love Bruce Springsteen. That makes me so happy.
I
You have
mean, I'm
no
like
idea.
passionate about Bruce
Oh,
Springsteen.
I think he's great. And then I'll mention it, that cover song I think of this version, the Norwegian
Oh,
guy. I still can't believe that's a thing that exists because like this, like I said, this is one of those songs I would think you don't. This is a song you don't cover. Like this is a perfect song you don't
yeah.
cover. And then when I heard that, I was like, okay, I guess you can if you do it that way.
Well, it's beautiful. And I feel something that really moved me about that performance. First of all, I mean, the guy was angelic. It was
Yeah,
really awesome.
yeah.
But it just showed how subtle and layered Springsteen's
Mm-hmm.
lyric writing is,
Yeah,
that it really can exist outside of the song and become many things for many
yeah.
people. I think that's really powerful. Yeah, and it was just like, man, the Bruce Springsteen can write a lyric.
He can write a lyric. Oh, that's awesome.
Right him.
This makes me so happy. Well, hey, that's a what a
Too.
great segue. What are your favorite lyrics? Like either a song or
Oh,
just like a
okay.
line.
Well, I feel bad because you and I have talked about this before.
Okay.
My favorite lyrics are they're a set of lyrics from the medieval
Oh.
era, I think the
Mm-hmm.
14th century, and it was a song, but the melody was lost to time. So
Yeah.
all we have are the lyrics, and it's a song called "Maiden in the Morley." And I love it so much because, most of the time with medieval music, you hear about women kind of in the context of like, love intrigue, marriage,
Hmm.
women didn't have much freedom. They had almost no freedom in those days.
Right.
And you really don't hear them talked about in contexts outside of their use to men.
Hmm.
But this song is so wild. It's just about a woman camping out on the moor for 7 nights in a day, and she's eating flowers. She's drinking from a remote river source. She's sleeping under the stars. She's sleeping on a bed of roses.
Yeah. That's
It's amazing. It's almost an impossible thing. It's I
right.
can't believe it exists, but
Right.
it does.
Whenever we talked about this on Seltzer's, yeah, that's the thing. I can't believe it's real because it's like I
Right?
think you were talking about how it's like it's really feminist from
It
that time
is.
period. Like what?
I feel it remains feminist
Yeah.
now. Like
Right.
still fighting for stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, but to have like a sort of feminist anthem coming from the
Right.
medieval era,
Like,
it's unbelievable.
yeah. There's like
It's so
you're.
important.
I know it's and yeah, it's like one of those like people need to know about this. I mean,
I
people do, but
know.
more. I didn't know
Spread the
about it. So
word.
yeah, that's like
I mean, I didn't know about it till like maybe a year ago, maybe
wow.
less.
Yeah. Well, that makes
I'm
me feel
so
better.
grateful I came
If
across it. Yeah,
yeah,
I know. It should be taught in
it
schools
should be. I totally agree. It'll never be taught in schools in Oklahoma, but it should be taught in
or
schools in
Florida.
yeah, or Florida or many other places, sadly.
Yeah, so
Um,
many places.
let's move on now to what is the last song you completely fell in love with?
Oh, okay. So this is a an old Finnish folk song called La Tarara. And I love it. First of all, the tune is really cool. It's very like
Mhm.
languid and kind of dancey
Yes.
and like there's a kind of sensuality to it that I really like. And the lyrics are super cool. So it's about a woman and she's dressed in green, a green dress with lots of ruffles, and it's
Oh,
covered in
nice.
bells.
Oh,
And the story has her dancing through the landscape. So she has this long silk train that's um, going over plants, the retama, which I believe is like a flowering broom plant, and yerba buena, which is mint. And she's dancing through olive groves. And the chorus is so interesting because it goes la tarara sí, la tarara no. So it's saying
oh,
this girl, la tarara, yes, this girl, no. There's just it's kind of
yeah.
it's a strange song. It's a folk song, but I just love the imagery of this woman kind of moving through the landscape, sort of like, Maiden in the Moor-esque. I just like
Right.
songs that women are just dancing around doing their thing
Yeah,
out in the world. I think that's cool.
I like just like the music of it. Like it's so it's like this you strip away everything other than what exactly you need to make the song like powerful because it's yeah
Yeah.
I'd never heard it before and I was like, oh, this is cool. Like it
It's
has
so beautiful.
yeah it has yeah it has a vibe, a really good like
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I love old Spanish folk music. I just think it's beautiful. Lots of different influences from lots of different
hmm
places in the world, and um, yeah, gorgeous stuff.
yeah. What is the sexiest song?
Okay. Oh, definitely La Macorina by Chavela Vargas. So, I mean, I hope people know the work of Chavela Vargas, amazing Costa Rican born, but Mexican, um, songwriter and performer. She is amazing, was amazing. But La Macorina is a song, it's very erotic, actually. It's like literally sexy. And the chorus is Ponme la mano aquí, which means put your hand here, Macorina. So it's like,
Oh
oh
yeah.
yeah. And it's just beautifully written, gorgeously arranged, extremely sexy. The language is gorgeous. I think there's a line, I don't speak Spanish very well, and my translation is most likely very flawed. But there's a line where she says, Macorina, the sugar canes are throwing themselves down on the road so that when you pass by, you could grind them
Oh
under
my
your
gosh.
feet. And I was just like, what?
Whoa.
So
Wow.
beautiful.
That's
And
amazing.
then in the end, she's saying, "What am I supposed to do with the smell of woman lingering in
Oh my
my
gosh.
bed? Like it smells so good. What am I going to do with myself?" And I'm just like losing my
Oh,
mind. So beautiful.
that's
It's
incredible.
very
Yeah.
sexy.
Her
A gorgeous
and
song.
her performance, like her voice is so like God, like her vibrato, and like there's moments where there's this like kind of growl like in her. Oh my,
Yes.
it's
Well,
so
that's part of what I love so much about it.
yeah.
Like you can hear her gritting her teeth, like,
Yes, you
"Oh, put
can.
your hands on me."
I
Oh,
know. Yeah, it's
Oh,
yeah. No, knowing some of those words, like hearing it's like, oh, I need to sit down. Like,
no, I know. It kind of like it makes you dizzy.
yeah, it's a good way to put it. Yeah, and I don't know her work really well. I know of it, and I know some of it. And yeah, I need to. This made me realize like I need to dig deeper because what I do know, and then it's like it's incredible. So
Oh, it's so good.
yeah, so it's like my homework for the next few days is to
Get into Chavela
well,
Vargas.
yeah, way worse ways I could spend my time. Um, so what is the best hype song?
The best hype song is called Rosalia, and it's by the Dominican, like hero of Dominican music, Juan Luis Guerra. He is amazing. I grew up listening to his albums. One of the great things about Rosalia is that it's the opening track of his album Burbujas de Amor, I think.
Mm.
And when it comes on, it's like
Mm.
I can literally sing I've listened to this song so many times, but it just like opens with such a bang. And it's interesting because it kind of reminds me about of the song Douce Dame Jolie that we were talking about, where the guy is just like begging the lady. But in this song, he is so in love with this woman, Rosalia. He is like in a state of ecstasy, and she's leaving him uncertain about her affections. Like, does she love him? He doesn't know. He's been knocking on her door. She hasn't opened her door. So he like runs off to the mountain and he's singing, and the flowers are accompanying his song, and so are the crickets. And there's like a stream, and everything is beautiful, and he's so in love, and he's so distressed that she won't tell him how he feels. And he's like, Rosalia, tell me that my love burns you, tell me that you need me. But it's all in the context of this like overflow of joy and ecstasy and love. It's so good.
All anybody
Of
has to
course
do
the
is like,
music is.
oh yeah, like as soon as I put it on, it was within like 5 seconds. Like, oh, I got to get up and move. Like, you can't just
Yeah.
sit there and listen to it. But I think anybody
Absolutely
just
not.
listening to you talk about it is it like enough to make anybody excited about this song. Like it's like I'm like, oh man, like I was excited just when I heard it, but now I'm like even more excited because everything you're saying, yeah, I can tell how
Oh,
much
it's so good.
it just.
Yeah, and you have to, it's designed, I think it's bachata, so it's kind of designed to be danced to. And in fact, I would recommend the whole album, Burbujas de Amor, um, which I think means bubbles of love. Anyway, it's amazing. There are some tracks on there that are kind of slower and more laid back, and those are some of the most beautiful songs I know, actually. They're really gorgeous
That's
album.
awesome.
So, yeah, I recommend that with my whole heart.
Okay, more homework. It sounds great to me. It's not homework. It's fun things to do. Okay, we're coming down the home stretch, coming towards the end here. So, what is the song that means the most to you? And not necessarily because of the song itself, but because like you associate it with like a certain memory or an experience or a person. And it's
Well,
yeah.
this wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be, actually. So, the song is Die Schätzbarkeit der Weitnerden, and it's from a Bach cantata.
Mhm.
And when I was really little, my parents had this album of the amazing soprano Kathleen Battle and the amazing violinist Itzhak Perlman playing excerpts from Bach cantatas that involved violin obligato lines.
Hmm.
And first of all, Bach is one of my very favorite music creators. His music is so passionate and beautiful and intricate and real and alive. I really worship Bach. But anyway, um, the album is so incredible. I mean, the two of them are such stunning musicians, and the whole time they're just like soaring around each other, really conjuring all
Hmm.
these gorgeous moods and evoking emotions and um, embodying the music in the way that one wants to embody music, you know.
Right.
But I was really little, and I remember when I heard the album, I was like, oh, this is what I want to do.
Oh, wow.
You know, it was like when I realized that I really wanted to be a singer and that I wanted to
Hmm.
dedicate my life to music. I was just like, this is the right thing.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's a really that song especially just like stuck in my head. I love that song. So yeah.
Yeah, it's like this. Yeah, I always think the thing. One of the things that always strikes me about the those performances, because I remember I kind of I know of Kathleen Battle, and years and years ago I had asked for for people. I was like, what are recommendations of like where can I like really hear her? And somebody recommended
Yeah.
this album to me of her and Itzhak Perlman.
Are you kidding
And
me?
no, yeah,
Wow.
and
Oh.
it just I mean it blew my mind because it's this like both of them are like technically flaw. Like I mean they have so much
Yeah.
technical, but the thing
Yeah.
that there's a lot of people who it's like they have the technical ability, but it's sometimes it feels too technical and like it's
Hmm.
missing the emotion. They are this performance is the like one of the best examples of when you can combine this incredible technicality with so much feeling and emotion, and it becomes this otherworldly thing. And this that whole I mean that whole CD is just
Yeah, it's a heartbreaker. It's so
yeah,
beautiful. I love that you know that album. It's really such a special creation for the
yeah,
world.
yeah. I don't know that I've ever talked to anybody else ever about it, other than when it was a friend of mine who recommended somebody who I haven't talked to probably in years. But it was
Oh, wow.
So I feel like I probably need to try to reach out to me like, hey, remember that?
It's a sign.
Yeah, it's a sign.
It's a sign.
Okay, so we're at the last question, the most important question. It's not the most important question. What is your favorite song? Maybe it is the most important song question. I don't know. But what's your favorite song?
Oh my gosh.
I know this was hard for you.
Okay. Oh yeah, no, and I almost forgot my answer. Okay, so this is not a perfect response. This is not the perfect answer because I actually couldn't answer this. I don't know. I do not know. There are so many.
Well, and
But okay,
and it changes. Mine changes. Like my
it
favorite song
changes
right now is
constantly.
different than it'll probably be next week. So this is a slice of a moment in time.
Yes. Okay, thank you for that qualification.
Yes.
Well, a song that really has just like, you know, if I'm thinking about songs that I'm just like, oh, that song. Okay, Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, I Let Love In.
Hmm.
That is such a dark, heavy, kind of disgusting song, and I love it so much. It's so good. Far worse to be love's lover than the lover that love has scorned. Those are the
Yeah.
words of a bitter individual, and I just love it
You could tell
deeply.
me. Somebody could just hand me these lyrics and tell me like this is some old like medieval poem or something. I'd be like, yeah,
I
that
know, right?
tracks.
Yeah. It has that drama. It has that extremity of heartbreak in it in a
Yes.
way that's just turned seething and dark. And I love to hear it.
And
I
then
love to put it on and walk around in a bad mood.
I feel like that part of you is related to the part of you that comes out when you play games. It's like adjacent.
Yes. Yeah.
It's, It's like Dark Nina.
The bad kind of Nina.
Well,
No, but listening to it too, I'm like, I this resonates with me. you know,
yeah, it's
like it also speaks for me, and I appreciate that.
I I hadn't listened to this in a long time. I don't remember the last time I listened to it, and one of the things that kind of struck me, I was like, God, this just sounds like the '90s too. Like the production of it is so '90s sounding to me, and I don't mean that in a
Yeah.
like bad way or a good way. It's like I'm not making any value judgment on it, but it just there's that '90s sound that
Well, and
it
the
when you hear it.
opening, that like vaguely Western
Yeah,
sounding opening, it almost sounds like the beginning of an old
yeah, it's like
spaghetti
somebody like
Western film or
walked
something.
in the saloon, like
Yeah.
threw the doors open, and then it's Nick Cave about to sing to you about how bitter
I
he.
do. I love Nick Cave. I just great music. And actually I first listened to the first thing I heard of his was a music video of him and PJ Harvey, who
Oh
is amazing, who I
yeah.
adore. Um, they were doing a kind of their take on an old murder ballad called
Oh
Henry Lee.
yeah, yeah,
And I
yeah.
just went crazy for that. That video
Oh
was
my gosh,
so
forgot about
awesome,
that.
so sexy and
Yeah.
gross, and just loved it.
No, that's a good pick. And this is the fun thing for me about this is like I get to think about all these songs I haven't thought about in a long time, and
Yeah.
like because I remember when like hearing this because this was like mid '90s, and I was having like a moment with like I was really into Nick Cave, and I was also that was I think when I kind of got into Tom Waits. It was when Bone
Oh
Machine came
yeah.
out. Or like I think Bone Machine
Oh,
was a little earlier,
so
but that
good.
album, I I still think about that album. I was just like it made me realize you can do anything. Like
Yeah.
it's like you can just like turn a junkyard and some bones into a drum kit or something. I don't know what's going on here, and
Why not?
yeah, and but I've always loved the sort of melodrama of Nick Cave. Like
Oh yeah.
a lot of people couldn't pull it off because it feels so overly serious. Where in other hands, it would just be like it would be kind of corny. It'd be like, oh come on, but he can do it. Like he nails it.
No, he knows what he's doing. It is like who he is.
Right, it's his thing. Like
Yeah.
it's so like pure coming from him. Whereas I think
Yeah.
it could easily sound like someone you're just putting on an act or but from him
Nope.
it's like yeah no your soul is and heart is black and I mean maybe he's a lovely person. I don't know I know very little about Nick Cave's but anyway. Well, that is a wonderful end. This was awesome. This was so much fun. Thank you so much for doing this. And
Thank you. I enjoyed this a lot, and it was really cool to get to think about these questions.
good. I'm glad. Is there anything before we go that you want to mention, tell people to look out for, check out? Like,
Oh, well, my brain's like still in music question land. Well, just that if you want a spooky compilation
yes.
of music for your fall adventures, check me out on YouTube and Instagram because I will be providing.
Perfect. And I will include links in the show notes to all of those things.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Brad.
Yes, thank you. This was awesome. Once again, I just want to thank Nina Dante for taking the time doing this and just embracing the concept and just it's a really vulnerable experience to do this, and it's one of the things that I've realized, and I have so much appreciation and gratitude for everybody who has got it signed up to do this and has gone for it, and it's just been so much fun. I think I've had a blast. I think my guests have had a blast. I think we've gotten to know each other better, and it's really just been this wonderful, sort of beautiful experience. And I hope you all enjoy listening to it as much as I enjoy doing it. As always, you can find me on various social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, Mastodon. You can join our Patreon, patreon.com/FoxyDigitalis. There's a whole extra Patreon section of these episodes that you get some extra categories and conversation. and it supports all the work that Foxy Digitalis does, and just, yeah, and it's generally a good time over there. So, and check out the playlist. In the show notes, there's a playlist, YouTube playlist for every episode, so it's all the picks from that episode in a handy-dandy YouTube playlist. So, lots of things. Next time, I'm very excited that the guest will be Eric Mingus, who is someone I've gotten to know a little bit and whose music I've really gotten to know, and it's a good one. All right. Until then, y'all, take care of yourself and keep listening to whatever the hell you want.